Take a walk with us down a conceptual path. Today, me and Toby, who is sat next to me,
Hello there.
are going to be having a look at the best supporting actors in the Oscars and giving it a slight little twist. In a way of assessing the roles and, most importantly, the characters involved in the nominated films, we're going to make a comparison with Toby here in his flat, and we've decided we'll assess the acting of the characters within the nominated films by judging them as if they were Toby's next door neighbours.
New neighbour.
New neighbour. So
which would, whatever our general decisions on this, it would almost certainly improve on my present neighbour. So I'm looking forward to
indeed.
this.
So they're going to be moving in next? Well, I suppose hypothetically they'd have moved in probably for a week. Do you reckon we'll give them about a week? Okay, so going through the nominations list, there is Edward Norton as Mike in Birdman, Robert Duvall playing the judge in The Judge, Mark Ruffalo as Dave Schultz in Foxcatcher, J.K. Simmons as the jazz maestro in Whiplash, and Ethan Hawke as a divorced father in Boyhood. So sticking to that order, Toby, how would life be if Mike from Birdman had just moved in next door?
Well, I think this could be very interesting. He's as a method actor, you might find him wandering around and talking to himself and trying different roles out on the neighbour. Should I talk to him?
Was it as in yourself?
Yeah, myself. But he's a bit of a scurrilous character. Within the film, he flirts inappropriately with the main character's daughter and steals the main character's thunder somewhat within the play that they're producing, and so I could imagine him being slightly troublesome.
Would he steal your thunder in the neighbourhood dynamic?
Yes, he's probably that sort of character that would generally try and just dominate and in subtle ways.
So do you think you could become friends with this character, or would the polite hello be as far as you'd want to delve into?
I think interesting acquaintance. Thank you. Would be more appropriate.
Okay, so if we're talking method actors, would you prefer Mike in Birdman or Daniel Day-Lewis living next door to you?
Mike in Birdman, I think. Yeah, I'm not ready for Daniel Day-Lewis.
Okay, so not having a man strolling around as Abraham Lincoln.
No, I'm just too much. Let's not get too...
Yeah, we'll move on. We're moving off. Okay, right, so the next one is Robert Duvall, who plays the judge in The Judge. So he's an older man, kind of high values, he's got a strong disposition. If you moved in, would you even notice him?
Yeah, I should think he'd have views on how you kept your lawn and things like that, and boundary lines and various. He'd be up on that and probably question you in deep moral terms about what you were doing with your life, perhaps. No, he would be a very sort of dignified neighbour.
What newspaper do you think he'd read when you see him coming back in on a Sunday morning, or having gone down to the shops? What newspaper would he have tucked under his arm? Does he come across as a Guardian reader to you, or is he more of a Daily Mail man?
God forbid, not Daily Mail. No, it'd more likely be the Telegraph. I'd have thought.
Think the Telegraph?
Times maybe. Not the Sun, anyway.
Okay, so again, do you think he's the kind of guy you'd go around to his house? You could maybe converse over the day's news in the Telegraph.
Perhaps not round his house, but you could converse nicely and
not get into party borderline agreements too much.
The very rare cup of tea in the back garden.
Okay, so next one on the list is Mark Ruffalo, who played Dave Schultz. So he's an Olympic wrestler in Foxcatcher, who generally was a kind of a nice guy, pretty focused, and obviously a good wrestler. Would you get involved in the sport if he moved in next door?
I probably wouldn't get involved in the sport, but he'd be a decent neighbour, and you could call on him for help if there were trouble.
Yeah.
Came down.
If he said to you, Toby, let's have a wrestle, would you go in for it?
I'd have to at least say, go very easy on me.
No.
But he'd be nice doing it. He would be. He comes across as a very good coach where he's not a bully, and so that if he was saying, "Oh, let's try it a bit," he wouldn't sort of half kill me. He would just go, "Oh, that was you need to do that, or you need to do this."
Yeah. So you seem to be warming to him slightly more than the judge or Mike from Birdman. Would you say he's currently, if you had a choice of those three to this point, he would be definitely your preferred neighbour?
Yeah, absolutely. So far, yeah.
Okay, so moving on to number 4, which is J.K. Simmons. So he's sort of the jazz maestro in Whiplash. So he's pretty intense. Do you reckon you could deal with a man like that living next door?
I don't think so. He's the character is somewhat fearsome, but ultimately well-meaning, which is something. God forbid if he ever heard me play my guitar, because he'd probably have a fit or throw something at me. Yeah, if I wanted some advice, but then you would just get.
Would you accept?
It would become very intense if you went for musical advice.
So I mean, if you found out he was like putting an advert in the local newsagents, offering his services as a music tutor, would you go in for some lessons, or even would you just say to him, I could put a word in for you, or would you just try and save yourself and anyone else?
A word in for.
He's like, Toby, I'm looking for some people, and I teach music. I need to find some.
Oh
students.
Right, yes, I see what you mean. Yes, I would definitely spread the word that he is that if you stuck with it and you were good enough, then he would be your man. But personally, on a just personal note, I wouldn't go to him myself because I'd just get injured.
You'd make your excuses and hand over your friends instead.
Put a silencer on my guitar. Yeah.
Okay, so the last one on the list is Ethan Hawke, who is essentially a divorced father in Boyhood. So I mean, relatively explanatory. I don't know if you want to fill in any more on the character, but how would you feel if he was living next door to you?
Well, he comes. The character comes across as a decent sort of fella, and so I think he would make a nice neighbour. I could even imagine, sharing a beer with him, maybe even sharing an allotment with him. Who knows?
Ooh.
I just think he would
be no conflict of vegetables.
Decent sort of chap, well, that would come up maybe, but he would be. A good
is he a man that seems you feel he's the kind of guy that likes the same vegetables you do?
Yeah, and when
is he a straight carrot and potato
we could
man,
swap.
or is he a straight carrot and potato man, or do you reckon he goes in for the more exotic numbers?
I reckon he'd be a bean man like myself, actually.
Beans?
I think we get heavily into beans.
All varieties?
Yeah, runner beans, French beans, just
having fun
beans.
Sitting around on a sunny afternoon, podding them into a bucket with a beer.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that sounds like a picture of...
maybe even swapping pickles and things. Yeah, I could imagine that working.
That's good, because I guess the problem you always get too many seeds in a packet for one person. So if you can swap produce, that's a good way of, because you plant a whole pack of beetroots, there's enough there for a year for 5 people.
I think he might be slightly flaky, actually. So
you might end up having to tend to his
So
plot.
yeah, I'd have that sense that it would be nice and congenial, but that he might slack at some point, or even I might slack. It might the whole thing might
be a mess, isn't it?
Basically,
you're just going to have rotting beans and overgrown potatoes, and both of you going
blights.
You're the one that's supposed to have been doing this.
Get a big fallout.
But
it'd be cool because we'd make up very quickly and just have a beer.
Until eventually just run a rotavator over the whole allotment and start again next year.
Hire a gardener. I'll get him to hire a gardener because he's going to be richer than me.
Okay, so that's gone through the list roughly. To roughly conclude, in terms of the Oscars, Best Supporting Actors as Next Door Neighbours, I'm presuming it's going to be Dave Schultz or Ethan Hawke's character. One more for Ethan Hawke seemingly being, similar to yourself, and Mark Ruffalo just, Dave Schultz just being a fairly nice guy. So
I'm split between those two actually.
What if we talk short term and long term? Is there one?
Well, no. Could I? Oh, well, okay. Short term, long term. Probably Ethan Hawke. There is other elements of the film, if we're going to stick with the film plots, which comes into the choice.
Okay.
You you've got his Ethan Hawke's issues with his family, and Patricia Arquette sort of popping around occasionally. Maybe I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, really. and details which would plot spoil if I divulged them for the Mark Ruffalo thing, which would mean that if I had to choose, it would be Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke, you wouldn't. So you prefer to have Patricia Arquette round than Steve Carell coming round?
Absolute. Thank you very much. That's perfectly concluded.
So I think we conclude in terms of characters, not much to split between them, but in terms of who they associate with,
in terms of the films, Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke takes it. Okay, so I think with that, we don't have any copyright, so we can't finish on a nice theme tune of Neighbours or something to cut off the recording. And I don't think
Can't we even sing it?
We could sing it. Maybe we could sort of edit in some kind of acoustic guitar version just to play out. But we'll do that after we finish this recording, because we'll probably need to look up the words and the chords, and then hopefully it won't sound really bad that we don't want to broadcast it. So you're going to find out very soon, as soon as we finish talking, whether we've achieved this and whether we're prepared to broadcast it to you. So from that point, it's goodbye from me and goodbye from Toby.
Goodbye. Neighbours, everybody needs good neighbours. Just a friendly wave each morning helps to make a better day. Neighbours need to get to know each other. Next door is only a footstep away. Neighbours, everybody needs good neighbours. With a little understanding, you can find the perfect blend. Neighbours should be there for one another.